Hello, welcome to Sound and Fairy Book Reviews. As usual, I am Tina. Today I'm doing a book review of Immortal North 2 by Tom Stewart. This is a 2023 book. It's coming out in March, I believe, from Lucky Dollar Media. It's a contemporary fiction. It's Canadian fiction. I received this book as an ARC from the author in exchange for a fair review. Immortal North, if you follow my channel, was one of my favorite books of 2022. So the author reached out and asked if I'd review the second one. Of course, I agreed. I was like, yeah, give me more. And like the first one, this is a lyrical, entrancing, and deeply moving story about a man and his home in the North, beginning right where the last book ended. Now, there are no spoilers for this book in this review, but a major part of this book is a huge, huge spoiler for book one. So please do read the first book before watching this review or before checking out Immortal North 2. It's an amazing story, the first book, and my review of it is on my channel under single book reviews. I'm going to link it at the end. I believe I reviewed it in the spring of 2022. I didn't remember, maybe the summer. Anyway, now that you've been warned, at first, I didn't think Immortal North needed a follow-up, but this novel is by no means tacked on or an unnecessary addition. In fact, where the first book was about sorrow, loss, and the human propensity to seek retribution, this book is about grief, acceptance, and moving through pain. It's a wonderful sequel that expands on what the first book introduced. What is it about? This is very short. The aftermath of the first novel becomes too volatile to be contained by the woods. And now the town knows of a murder and an abduction. That list of crimes is not getting any shorter. When to that northern woods tragedies arrive with such a darkness that even the patch of sky above their old family cabin seems to have lost its stars, hope and courage have this luminous sequel shining with radiant light. That is a wordy sentence. I'm surprised I got it out without stumbling. Thankfully, I've never lost a child. I did have to put my beloved pug down last year, and I'll never forget that stab of pain in my heart when I realized he was actually gone. It truly hurt like a knife, like they say. I couldn't breathe for a few minutes. I can't imagine the immensity of pain of losing a child. I can't imagine. It keeps me up at night some nights. This book is about what happens when you lose something unthinkable and almost lose yourself to grief. In fact, for people who live in fear of something happening to their kids, every parent, I'm assuming, it's helpful to see Ethan's journey through grief, rage, despair, and desperation. It also shows how the kindness of strangers, even from a distance, can give someone hope. It's an extremely hopeful novel, surprisingly. For a book with not a lot of plot, it's still extremely enthralling. Stewart's style is, as I explained in my previous review, very reminiscent of Hemingway, but in no way does it feel like he's trying to copy that style. It feels natural, just as you can tell Stewart knows what it's like to live off-grid, to be a survivalist. For example, a quote, "Her unblinking yellow eye is a hue that even the most haunting of moods could only aspire to color itself." And then it was black coffee in a white porcelain mug, warm in his hands, that he drank slowly by the window, and the stove's fire was warm, and its sounds comforting, and the brew smelled like sacred, and the sun outside lit the window and did nothing more than slowly rise, and illuminate, and warm, and be perfect. Yeah, that kind of stuff. My favorite scenes are when he's just describing the daily life and chores that he gets up to. The basic, simple living that he does that's so far removed from our life with smartphones, constant stimulation, the simulacra of nature, and physical labor. In the need to chop firewood to heat my house kind of physical labor. I'm not discounting, the hard work that construction workers and nurses and like people that do physical labor for a job do. I'm just saying that this is a different kind of physical labor. I hope that makes sense. Now, I'm also not saying the author has experience with this aspect, but there is a scene with shrooms used as a way to induce a self-healing experience, not like recreationally for those of you who are against drugs. That is so interesting, and it's one of the best kind of like drug scenes in a book that I've ever read, because it explains why people used or used to use this particular form of medication as kind of a way of awakening their mind. It makes perfect sense. I have a funny story about shrooms. So I have a friend, and he and his friends one time did shrooms recreationally, not for a self-healing experience, when they were at our cottage one time. And everybody woke up in the morning and they couldn't find my friend, and they were wandering around, and then they found him outside looking at the woodpile, like he was on his knees, and he was like this, and they were like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I came out here last night, and one of the faces in one of the wood pieces looked like a face, so I thought it was a god, so I started praying to it." Anyway, yeah, so there's a story for you. There is not actually a whole lot more I can say about this book because it's so rich and introspective as well as sorrowful and hopeful. It's achingly beautiful, and it's a sequel that really brings the story full circle. I can't keep talking about it though, or I'll just be repeating myself, and I want you to read it. And I also have to say, I absolutely love that they decided to call the book Immortal North 2 instead of just giving it another name. For some reason, I find this kind of funny, but like in a good way. I just like love that idea. Anyway, I highly recommend this book. I really hope that you check out the first one, Immortal North, and then the sequel, because they kind of really do work as one unit. Like Hyperion and Fall of Hyperion, they kind of feel like one book. So yeah, very random connection there, but yeah. So thanks for watching.